Hey, Shalom, Kalalal, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And first and foremost, as always, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that I do learn this truth from. To you I say Shalom, and Shalom unto the hopeful elect. And this is the VOJ. My name is Gabar Allah, and Lord willing, this will be edifying and thought-provoking in the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And this is going to be another installment of the Nuke Watch series, and this is going to be number 5. The last one I did was in late May of this year, 2025. So let's get into it. And by the way, article comes from zerohedge.com. Link will be posted in the description. And it says, Putin hails tests of nuclear super torpedo capable of unleashing radioactive tidal waves. Now, what precept comes to mind? I'm thinking about Revelation chapter 6, verse 15, man. And that, that chapter, starting from the 13th verse, it goes into the stars of heaven falling on the earth and creating some mighty wind. That's nuclear destruction, but it specifically goes into these islands being destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. And how are these islands going to be destroyed? By earthquakes, tidal waves, and tsunamis, man. And that's what this technology that the Russian government is bringing out, that's what it's gonna do. And, it's very scary. According to Western intelligence, the Western world is scared. They're scared about this. Not too happy about what the Russian government has created over here. Which this falls under an ICBM. They just call it by a different name. They call it a nuclear super torpedo, which a torpedo is a missile that can travel underwater. It's not like a missile that travels in the sky, right? Travels underwater. That's what it's specifically designed for. So yeah, man. And this also proves, man, that these Russians, starting with the leadership over there in the east, they're nothing but Edomites too in the spirit, because this is how they live. They live by the sword, right? And hey, this is white on white crime. Esau going against Esau in these last days too, and that's a beautiful thing, man. But it just shows you who the real Edomites are. They live and die by the sword. Now let's get that. This is Genesis chapter 27. We're going to start at verse 38 here. It says, And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Yeah, Esau, you know what that name means? Ishashwa, which just simply translate to wasted away is he. And that's exactly how he came out of the womb. Wasted away is he. Red all over like a hairy garment. The blood showing forth through his skin. And that represents you so-called white people, you Geico cavemen, you cave beasts that walk the earth, okay, that are very proud and pompous and wicked. Verse 39, And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. Yeah, that's right. So you're gonna live a very luxurious lifestyle, a life of opulence. And look at these elites, these top elites that come out of the nation of Edom, man. Look how they live, man. They live on these estates. They have lands. They have orchards. They have businesses. Lots of money, right? They live in the best places, man. Spoiled rotten, man. Richie rich. Verse 40, And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. You see, and by thy sword shalt thou live. That's right. And that's how you make a living. You make a living by killing and creating wars. It's a good movie to watch, The Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. That came out, I believe, in the early 2000s, man. That was either 2002 or 2004 that movie came out. It was a very good movie. I watched that movie all the time, man. But it shows you how Esau, Edom, makes money off of war and bloodshed. And Nicolas Cage was just a little guy coming up in the game, right? But you saw him, man. He was making deals with all these different governments. He made deals with Russia. That's how he got all the Kalashnikovs. He went into Africa. He did business with all these warlords. Hell yeah, man. And then he got super rich, right? But by thy sword thou shalt live. That's how he makes a living. And when World War III starts, someone's going to profit off of it. And that's these elites. Somebody always profits off of war. How do you, look at it, man. Who do you think makes the money, or who makes the uniforms and the weapons for the soldiers? Right? When you go into making all the tanks, when you go into making all the food provisions, all the mattresses that the soldiers got to sleep on. You know what I mean? Like, who's making all the money off of that? It's these elite whites, these Edomites, man. They're making all the money off of that. So by thy sword thou shalt live. There you go, man. He makes a lot of money off of killing people, man. All right, so that's the blessing. So hey, it just shows that hey, you Russians, man, you're Edomites too. And then you have the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. He's boasting about this, man. He's actually proud about this. Now, let me just explain the article real quickly. So basically, what does the article mean? Well, it's reporting that Russia claims to have successfully tested a new kind of nuclear weapon, and it's a huge underwater drone called the Poseidon. Now, if you know your Greek, then you would understand that this is a Greek word, Poseidon, and I pulled it up. And Poseidon is the name of a god, the god of the sea. So that's what they named the weapon after. Okay, they named it after a Greek god. So it says Poseidon's name is believed to mean either husband of the earth or lord of the earth, though its exact origin is debated. In Greek mythology, he is the god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. He was also a major deity who could cause storms, floods, and droughts, and was one of the 12 Olympian. And that's exactly the type of destruction that this ICBM is going to bring forth. Earthquakes, storms, floods, and droughts. Well, really floods. Okay, and floods come in the form of tsunamis and tidal waves, man. Now, this relates to scripture. This relates to biblical prophecy. Why is that? Because when you go into Revelation, the 6th chapter, it talks about these different islands being destroyed and moved out of their place. Well, how is that going to happen? It's going to happen through earthquakes, tsunamis, and tidal waves. And that's the type of destruction that this nuclear super torpedo is going to bring. Right? So, I'll just get it. This is Revelation chapter 6, verse 13. And the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Yeah, it's going into that destroying wind, and the stars of heaven represents the missiles falling upon this earth, blowing shit up. And it's going to cause forth what? A mighty wind. And when you read Revelation, the 7th chapter, it talks about a destroying wind. Okay? Destroying wind. Verse 14, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. Yeah, going into the mushroom clouds, different explosions being let off all over the earth. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places, by earthquakes, tsunamis, and tidal waves, man. But especially them islands and them coastal cities. Because that's what this is talking about. It's talking about coastal cities being under threat. Coastal cities like New York, Los Angeles, and also London. Right? So that's a threat, man. That's a threat. So hey, this is a part of biblical prophecy. So that's all I want from here. That was a good precept. So just going back to the article, to put it simply, pretty much Putin is boasting that Russia has a robot torpedo which is powered by a nuclear reactor that could in theory cross the ocean and set off massive radioactive tsunamis and tidal waves to destroy coastal cities. Okay. And you know what? According to Western intelligence, this is real. This is not a bluff. This is actually real. This is actually real, and it's a real threat. Now, the weapon itself, it's powered by a tiny nuclear reactor. So it could travel very far underwater without surfacing. And that's what makes it so dangerous. it can go undetected for a long period of time. You know what I mean? So they have no defense. And this also goes into the prophecy of Gog destroying the land of unwalled villages, because they don't really have a defense system to counter this. They really don't. Talking about America, which America is the land of unwalled villages. That's pursuant to Ezekiel the 38th chapter and the 10th verse on down, right? Which I'm going to get it. But I just want to finish explaining this. So, yeah, man. Now they're saying that, in theory, that this weapon is dozens of times stronger than the bombing of Hiroshima. So this bombing would be so catastrophic. It's unfathomable. Right? It's going to bring a lot of destruction. And they also say, detonating it near like a coastline could create a huge wave of radioactive water, flooding, and contamination. Right? It can contaminate cities along the shore. So this is very, very destructive. And that's why they named it the Poseidon, man. Because what does Poseidon do? This demonic god. Right? We just read it. He is the god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses. He was also a major deity who could cause storms, floods, and droughts, and was one of the 12 Olympians. I guess that, this is demonic, man. And this is, by the way, Poseidon, when you go into DC Comics, those artists, Aquaman, that's who Aquaman goes back to, because Aquaman, he was the one that held the 3-trident spear here, as you can see. So really, Aquaman represents Poseidon, which that's evil too. DC Comics is very demonic and evil. I don't really think Superman is really a Jake either. I think Superman's a demon. The way Superman moves, Superman is actually a demon. He may have a Hebrew name, but I think that thing is based upon demons, man. Some of those superheroes, man. There's truth and lies in that thing. There's a lot of truths in DC Comics, but there's a lot of lies also. Anyway, that's just me speculating. I'm going to move on. I digress. I don't want to ramble. But yes, man, this is you see why. You see why. Because a major deity who could cause storms, floods, and droughts, man. And that's what it's going to bring. Floods, tsunamis, tidal waves, right? And radiation poisoning, radioactive waters. Now, what does this mean strategically? Like, why is Putin coming out and boasting and bringing this information out? Obviously, this is something called nuclear signaling, right? And it's not necessarily a declaration of intent to use the weapon. Putin's message, essentially is just about, letting the world know that Russia can still threaten, catastrophic retaliation if other nuclear systems are blocked or destroyed. So in a nutshell, it's just really a part of deterrence, a way of reminding the world that Russia is exotic and it's very powerful, and it has hard to stop weapons. You can't stop me. And it's true for the most part. Like I said, I was going to bring it out. When you go into Ezekiel 38, it talks about Russia in the last days bringing forth destruction upon America and also upon Israel. And that's going to be done through nuclear destruction. So let's read about it. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 10. Thus saith the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. But yeah, the point is in verse 10 and verse 11. And pretty much the Lord is going to put the spirit on Russia to unite like it did in the past, like the old USSR. And when you read up a little bit more, you go up earlier in the chapter, it talks about the hooks in Niger. That's also going into that as well. They're going back into that old USSR spirit, being that empire, that strong red empire that it used to be back in the day. And this is also going into how they're going to shoot off their ICBMs. You know, that's that evil thought. That's why it says, thou shalt think an evil thought. And you know what? Let me shoot my nukes on them, man. Let me fuck these guys up. You know what they did to us back in the day, man? We still are feeling the effects of that. You know, they caused a lot of destabilization, man. Let me shoot my nukes on them, man. Let's fuck them up. Now, verse 11, when it says the land of unwalled villages, pretty much that's talking about America. America does not have missile defense systems. Well, advanced missile defense systems. Like, they do have some that are set in place, but they're outdated. It's really old. They're not really that strong with the defenses. That's why you had Donald Trump. He wanted to come out and bring out the Golden Dome, which that's just a fancier version of what they have over there in Israel, which is called the Iron Dome. But they want to create the Golden Dome. But how could you defend against something like this that goes underwater? Right, that goes undetected. Right, so they don't really have a defense for this. They don't. And it says here, I will go to them that are at rest. Okay, what does that mean? You know, America is at rest, meaning they are comfortable. You know, they're not in that warrior spirit as they used to be. That's why if you go into the news, man, you look at, I think his name is Gavin Newsom, a top diplomat, United States diplomat. Guess what he did? He called a meeting for all of America's generals and admirals. And he was actually going over the standards of what it takes to be a part of the U.S. military. Like, he's changing all the rules. Now it's getting a lot, well, how should I say? It's becoming more strict. So you have to meet a certain strict standard to get into the military. That means you can't be out of shape, you can't be fat. Yeah, and he was calling a lot of these generals and soldiers out. Look, you guys are too fucking fat. You guys are lazy. We're fucking warriors, man. This is no longer, this is no longer the case. We're no longer going to have fat soldiers. We're no longer going to have trans soldiers. You guys can't be effeminate. You can't be gay. You guys got to get your shit together. Right? So that's what I'm talking about. That rest, they're not in that warrior-like spirit. They've gotten soft. Same with the people. The people in America are very weak mentally. Very soft. Everybody's out of shape. Everybody's unhealthy. People are too lazy to reduce their calorie intake. Yeah, look at that, man. And, you're also in the spirit of how war will never come to this place. War will never come to your land, your soil. That's how they're thinking. That's why the scripture says, though they say peace and safety, then come sudden destruction, right? So yeah, man. That's pretty much it. Unwalled villages. They don't have any defense against things like this, weapons like this. So I hope this was edifying. Until next time, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, GMS that do teach well, and that I do learn this truth from. This is the VOJ, the voice of Jacob. My name is Brother Kabar Allah. Lord willing, this was edifying and thought-provoking in the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Shai. Also, shalom to the hopeful elect that comes out of the nation of Israel. To you I say shalom. Shalom.